That was the official moment when Governor Tim Walz signed recreational marijuana into law, making our state the 23rd to do this. Now, here's what you need to know. The law technically goes into effect on August 1st, but you're not going to be able to walk into a store and buy weed for another 12 to 18 months. So we wanted to answer your question. Why is it taking so long to get to that step of going into a place to buy it? Here's Kent.
Jana, part of the reason for the drawn-out timeline is that legislators who worked on this bill told me they wanted to avoid mistakes other states made when they rushed this process. And the timeline, by the way, is just one way this law will look different from most other states. Despite all of the cameras on hand to capture the governor signing recreational cannabis into law, they were still outnumbered by all of the people there who spent years trying to pass it, including a certain former governor.
One thing you learn about our government, it doesn't move quickly. So for it to happen within 20 years is actually quite quick.
We're trying it in a way that is unique.
And the legislators who helped the law finally get across the finish line say the wait will be worth it.
We've learned from what happens in other states. We've built a model that will work for Minnesota specifically, and I think Minnesotans will be really pleased.
Representative Zach Stevenson, author of the House bill, says lessons learned elsewhere led to two big changes to how this law aims to eliminate the illicit market.
We don't allow opt-outs. You can't have whole cities or counties saying, sorry, you can't have cannabis here, because that just creates fuel for an illicit marketplace. We also kept the tax deliberately low. So some states it's 30, 40%, here only 10%. So that should allow for legitimate cannabis businesses to compete more effectively with the illicit marketplace.
Minnesota will also become just the 11th state to legalize homegrown cannabis on August 1st, with a cap of 4 mature plants per adult. And once the state opens to commercial growers, they'll have caps to consider too.
There are caps on how big these businesses can grow. The largest growers, for example, would be 30,000 square feet of canopy, and that is much, much smaller than very large multi-state operators. And then we have other incentives for smaller businesses and micro businesses, because we really want the new cannabis businesses to go to the communities that were hurt the most by prohibition, and to make sure that we're prioritizing small and local over big and national.
Once it's available via retail, it's going to be more widely available than maybe other states, correct?
Right. So I think that your experience of going to a dispensary won't be that dissimilar to going to a liquor store.
But with the state's new Office of Cannabis Management just now getting off the ground and retail stores still 12 to 18 months away, the reality in the meantime remains murky. Are you concerned about how many people might be growing and selling out of their back door or something like that?
We tried to give as many tools as we could to the state agency and to local governments to manage that transition and to try and make sure that we don't see a big bumper crop of illegal dispensaries pop up. But nothing is perfect, and we're going to have to manage our way through that process.
This seems like a long journey.
And that process will move at the speed of government.
We need to do it responsibly and do it well, and that takes some time.
There is one other fairly unique aspect of this law that will eventually open the door to marijuana delivery businesses. I say eventually because Zach says that won't happen until a year or two after retailers open. And if you do the math on that, it could be 2027 before it ever gets rolling. Jana.
Well, the wait is not going to be as long for those with criminal records impacted by our old marijuana laws. On August 1st, state officials will begin the process of reviewing and expunging tens of thousands of Minnesotans who have marijuana convictions. Now, not everybody is having a party over this bill passing. Today, the executive director of the Republican Party in Minnesota openly criticized Governor Walz and former Governor Jesse Ventura. He also slammed Walz's campaign promise of working with the Republican Party, saying, quote, "Turns out Walz and the Democrats' bluster about civility and decency was just empty campaign rhetoric and lies." Statement from the Republican Party there.